Hello guys, this is Adris here, and today I'm going to make a basic full stack MERN application, which means we will be using React for front end, Express for back end, and MongoDB for database. So let me just quickly walk you through the project. So all I have here is two main folders, client and server. Client folder holds my React application, which is our front end, and then server holds my backend application. So if I open up integrated terminal of VS Code and then cd into server folder and then do npm run app, this would run both client side and server side at the same time, and the server side will run at port 5000 after connecting to local MongoDB database, and then client side would run at port 3000. So as I said, it is connecting to local MongoDB database, but you can use remote one if you like to. However, code will be same, so you can definitely use remote database. The reason I'm using local just because it is a basic application project, so I'm keeping it to really basic level. So this is what we're going to make. It is a to-do list. So as it is a full stack, so which means all of these tasks are stored into database, and we are getting these from database. So let's just say if we do another one here, so this have added to our database. Okay, we can check that by refreshing the page. So as you can see, it is still there after refreshing the page. If this was just a front-end React application, this would have gone away, and same if we remove some of them and refresh the page, they would not come back, and we can mark them complete as well, by the way. So that's what we're going to make. Prereq, I would say at least basic React, or yeah, for backend, even if you don't know much about backend, you would be still okay. And yeah, if you don't know about React, even basics, you are welcome to watch my another video on YouTube, which is React basics, and we are building to-do list again in that video, and I have explained React basics, and after watching that video you would be definitely okay to watch this one. Okay, so yeah, let's jump in and code. Okay, so to start off, I'm going to open my git bash, and I'm gonna make a folder. I will call this full stack hyphen app, and then I'm going to cd into this full stack app, and then within this folder I'm going to make two more folders, client and server, and I'm going to open this in VS Code. And first I'm going to start working on client side, and which would be, by the way, longer part, and then we would do the server side later. So open up the terminal and then cd into client folder, and since I have already installed create React app, I can do dot here and then press enter. It would create a basic React application in this client folder. If you haven't installed this, you would have to install this before you use it. This is create React app CLI. So it's a React applications CLI. So yep, so this has created a fresh project, which means we can do npm star to run the application, and while it is loading, what I'm gonna do is go into this client folder and do some housekeeping. So first okay, sorry, I'll just minimize this for now, and I'm gonna go into this public folder. I'm going to remove these two files, and next I'm gonna go into source folder. And by the way, this will break our application when I'm doing this, because there would be some files that it would be looking for, but we're going to delete those. Okay, so these two, and then index.css as well. Yep, I'm gonna remove these three. Then I'm gonna go back into index.html, and in here I'm going to get rid of these comments. By the way, you don't have to do this, but it is just to clean up because it looks so messy with all of those comments. And while I'm here in this index.html, I'm going to change the title for this application. I'm going to do MERN-Stack list. Save it, close it. Actually, I forgot, I want to get rid of these link tags as well, so this one and that one, remove these spaces. Save it and close it. So we are done with this public folder. Now back to source folder, and first I'm going to go into index.js, and in here I'm going to get rid of all of this, and sorry, this, and index.css, and when we save it, yeah, app.js, and we're going to remove this logo which we just deleted. And then after this, I'm going to get rid of this everything within this div. Okay, I want to keep the div, but everything within this div. And I'm also going to remove this class name. Save it, and now all I'm going to put is hello world for now, and save it. If we go back to our application, there we go, we have hello world, so which means it is running fine. Next I want to do is grab some bootstrap, and font awesome CDN links. So for bootstrap, I'm gonna grab this CSS one, so copy this, close it, and then go back to public, and above this title I'm gonna paste it and save it, and then copy this font awesome link, and I'm going to close this as well, and then paste it, save it. So close this up, index.html. Now we have linked our bootstrap and font awesome. So whenever I'm working on React application, I would like to do my UI before I start working on the logic of application. So let's do that actually. Now I'm going to close it, everything. So in this source folder, I'm going to go there and create a new folder called components, and within this folder I'm going to create my all components. Okay, and first one would be header.js. okay, so if I do rfc, this will create a functional component, and Okay, actually let me just show you quickly. I have this snippet extension which I'm using, so you need to install that one to use these shortcuts. Okay, so go back. So header.js is going to be a functional component, and in this header component the div is going to have some classes. So I'm gonna give it some bootstrap classes, and the first one would be card, and then bg info, and then text center, and then text light and rounded 0, and this would have an h1 which would have class of display 4. Okay, and in this h1 we're going to have 3 things: an I tag which will have font awesome classes, FAS, FA, clipboard, if I can spell, dot list, hyphen list, and then dot mr, which is margin right 3. And then after this I tag we're going to have a span tag, and this span tag would have classes as well, and they are sorry guys, and these classes are going to be text, dark, and margin right 3. In this span tag I'm going to write MERN, and after the span tag I'm going to write text to do list and save it. And next we're going back to our app.js, and here we need to import it. I'm going to import header from, and that's in component folders, and in components is header, and instead of this hello world I'm going to return header and save it and run it and see. There we go, that's our header. Actually let me just put these side by side so you guys can see this. So that's our header. Okay, so next we're going to have a form here, a form. So I'm gonna create, which I will call this add to do.js, and this will be a React class component. So if I do rcc, this will give me a basic class syntax. So, and this would return a form, and we're not going to have any action. And in this form we would have an input of type text, an input. This input would have some classes as well, and we're going to say class name, that's going to be form hyphen control, and the another class would be rounded 0. And next is going to be a button, BDM, and this button would have some classes as well. Actually, let me do this way. BDN, I'll do it BDN, then probably copy paste these classes, be quicker. That would be type of submit. And add to. Okay, also want to give it round, that's okay. Yeah, BDN secondary. So next we need to go back to app.js, and I'll copy this and then change header to change it to what did I call, add to do. Okay, and then we're going to return add to do, save it, and there we go. We have this input and a button. One thing which I forgot in this input, I want to have a placeholder. I will say write your to do here. Right, so if I maximize this, this looks really ugly. Okay, this is all the way across. So what I'm gonna do is actually go to app.css, and I'm gonna get rid of all this CSS, by the way, and save it. And then here I'm going to create a class. I will call this app.-container. Okay, and this would have max width. Max width. I'm gonna give it 35 rem maybe, and then margin is gonna be auto. Save it. And now if I go back to my app.js and see this main div, if I give it class name and give it app.-container and save it, and this will push the application in the middle pretty much and make it smaller. Looks like it looks better. So that's that. And now we have our header and then form, and next thing which is going to be a list of to-dos. Okay, so let's create that. So we would have two of them, so to-dos.js and to-do.js. So first I will create in this component to-do.js, single one. Okay, and this is going to be React class component again. So instead of returning this div, what we're going to do is return a h3, and this would have some classes, text dark, and then another one would be text center, and another one would be p1, and what else, pg light, I believe, p1, and then pg light. Right, so within this h3 we're going to have another I tag, and this is going to be another form I tag, sorry, font awesome I tag. So this would have font awesome classes, so far, and then fa, I believe, times, then circle, and another one would be fa sm to make it small, and then I want it to float to the left, Yes, and I want to give it margin as well, so M1 should be enough. Yep. And after this I tag, for now I'm going to put hard-coded task 01, not just task, maybe just task. Yeah, it should be okay. And then we're going to have an input, and this would be a checkbox, so checkbox type, and we don't need name and ID. However, we will need some classes, so class name, this is going to have I believe margin 2, and then I want it to float it to right. Yeah, that's it. We'll save it, and next I'm gonna do is create to-dos. Okay, this was to do, and next one to-dos. Okay, to-dos.js, and this to-dos would have this to do. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is import this to do from, that's gonna be from component. We are already in component, so to do's from to do. I should have done React class component. Right, so then I can just move this down. Okay, and here we're going to return to do, and for now I'm going to copy paste couple of them, so just to give you a demo, save it, move these spaces. Now as this holds a couple of to-dos, so now let's just close all of this and go back to this app .js, and then copy paste one of them, and I'm going to change this to to-dos. In here we're going to return to-dos and to-dos. Okay, and save it. It should return. Okay, there we go. One thing which I want is go back to do and give a class here to this I tag text danger, which will make it red, these buttons. Oops, can't spell. Okay, there we go. So yeah, one more thing, I want a border bottom for this h3. That's border bottom. Yep, there we go, they look a lot better. So our UI is complete. Now I'm gonna go and close these for now, and next I wanna work on context API. So let's do that. So out of this component folder into this source folder, I'm going to create a new file. I will call it context.js, and this is going to be a functional component, so class component, so RCC. And for this context we're going to change this to provider, and we don't want to export it to default. And the next step we're going to do is so next thing is we're going to do is create our context. To do this I'm gonna do const context, that would be React dot create context. Okay, and then save it. And in here, instead of this div, what we're going to render is, return is context dot provider. So this, since this will be wrapped around the whole application, so this will have this dot props dot children, and we're going to give it a value as well. So value, we can pass anything, however I will pass this dot state for which we are going to create soon, this dot state. So you can pass anything to this value, because this is what would be available to the consumer, which we're going to create next. Okay, so next we're going to say export consumer, and that would be context dot consumer. Export, why is it not too sure, why is it yeah, I was meant to do const. Oops, const. Okay, so far what we have done, it created a context and then created a class called provider, and which returns context.provider and has value, and we will create this state soon, and we're going to wrap this around whole application. Okay, and the next we have created a consumer which is context.consumer. Alright, so let's create the state as well, as we are here. So state would be an object, and this object would have array of to-dos. Okay, so that would be an array of to-dos. Okay, so maybe ID is going to be 1, and title is going to go check emails, and then complete is going to be false. I'm gonna go and copy this and probably 2 more times. Okay. Right, change the ID to 2 to 3, and then change these to check maybe voicemails, and then check report. Alright, so these are our to-dos for now. We will be getting these later on from database. So next what I'm going to do is close this and go to my app.js, and here we're going to actually first we need to import our provider, and that's gonna be from that's going to be from context, context. And now here above this main div, we're going to return provider, and wrap the whole application. If I save, I hope everything works fine. Yeah, still okay. So since now we have our to-dos in this context.js, so let's render all of these to-dos into here instead of having these hard-coded tasks. Okay, so first what I'm gonna do is go back to my to-dos, which is in our components, and then not here, sorry, to-dos. And then here we're going to import, remember we have in our context we have provider and consumer, so we're going to import consumer now. So from, and this is going to be one level up. I can't spell from for some reason. So one level up into context, and then here we're going to above this div we're going to return consumer, and this consumer would always have value. So value holds our state, as you remember. So this would return this whole div. So actually I'm gonna grab one to do, okay, and this would return one to do. I'm gonna get rid of all of it. Actually, let me just quickly do it this way. So I'm going to do a little bit of destructuring. So we have to do's in our state, which is in value. So, and this would return. Now we're going to do is to do's dot map, and which is higher order method. Why? Okay, return. For some reason I can't spell. Okay, so in here for now I'm going to say T instead of to do's. I'm too lazy to type. Okay, so we're going to return to do now, and in here we're going to pass a prop, and I will call this to do, and we will pass this T, which will be hold to do, and then also give it key as well. And for now I'm going to do t.id. So okay, and consumer is not defined because I'm misspelling here. Okay, so save it, should be okay now. So what we done is basically imported consumer, which holds the value, and value has whole state which has to do's, and then we are doing a map on to do's, and then for each to do we are returning one to do. Okay, and we are passing a prop to do to this to do. So now we're gonna go to do, and instead of this hard-coded T, what I'm gonna do is go above this return and do a little bit of destructuring. So that would be title, that's gonna be from this dot props dot, I think they call it to do. So now the title is available, so we're gonna replace this with title. Alright, so now we will get all those title here. So there we go, we are rendering all these to-dos into here successfully. Next I want, if one of them is complete is to true, okay, I want them to have a line through. Okay, so when we change this complete to from false to true, they should have different style. So let's just do that. So I'm gonna go to do, and in here what we're going to do is go above this render and create a method or function, which would be another one, and this is going to be a conditional formatting, so I'm gonna do const, and we want to check complete. Again, this is we're going to grab is this dot props dot to do, I believe, again, yes. And what we want to do is return text decoration. We're going to use a ternary operator, and we're going to check if complete is true, then we want text decoration to line true, or else we want it to none. Okay, save it. And then to apply this style, we have to go to this h3 and do an inline style, not inline style, basically, and apply this. Okay, so that's gonna be this dot style and then curly braces. So for now it is not going to apply because none of them is true. So I'll go back to context and change one of them, say change this to true. True. Okay, save it. There we go. So we have the style applied. So I'm gonna put it back to false. Next want to do is when I toggle this checkbox, I want to apply the style we just done. So to do this, we're going to do events in context API. So to do this, I'm gonna go to context .js. Okay, and then in the state, I'm going to create a method. I will call this dispatch, and this would have passed to it action, and it would return this dot set state, and set state can have previous state, so I will call it previous state, which is this state. And so this would return reducer, which we still need to create, and this would have both of them, prev state and action. So let me just quickly recap this. So we are creating a method called dispatch, which would have an action, and this action would be an object. Okay, we will pass this when we run this. Okay, in dispatch, and this is set to this dot set state, and this will change the whole state, and however the value will be returned from the reducer, which will be going to create it now. So I'm gonna go above here and do here const reducer, and this is going to have prev state and action, and this will return this will have a switch statement, which will check action dot type. As I said, action is going to be an object, and we will pass type and payload with this object. So there would be different cases. The first case in here, I will name it toggle. Case. So in this case, what we want to do is return, and we want to check if this is the case, then all we want to do is to change this complete to false to if it is false to true, and if it is true to false. Okay, but however we would need IDs, so we can change the right one. Okay, so to do this is we're gonna do to do's, and I'm gonna go grab brief state and then do a map, and we're gonna go grab to do's first, and then to do's we're going to do map. Oops, I'm doing, and we're gonna grab to do. I'll do it short to, and here we're going to check if t dot id is strictly equal to action dot payload, which we will pass in this object. Okay, if that's the case, what do we want? We want t dot complete to not t dot complete. Okay, so if it is true, make it false. If it is false, make it true. Okay, and then yeah, we want to our default case as well. So default would be return brief state. Save it. Oh yeah, I forgot to return to do. Okay, so return, can't spell return. Sorry guys, I'm pretty tired actually. I'm doing this after a long day. Okay, so that's that. So now, as we have dispatch and reducer done, so since dispatch is a part of our state, it should be available wherever the consumer is, wherever we are using consumer. Okay, so we're gonna go into to do, and then in here we're going to import consumer, and that's gonna be from one level up, and then in context API, and we're gonna go above this h3, and then here we're going to return consumer, and this would have value, which is going to return this, all of this. Alright, we're gonna do a little bit of destructuring, and since dispatch is a part of state, so it would be available in this value. Okay, so we're going to get dispatch, and that's gonna be, and it's gonna be from value. Okay, so the other thing we're gonna grab is ID. We'll grab the ID as well. So since we have ID and dispatch, so what we're gonna do is on this input, I'm gonna do on change, and this would have this dot, we'll call this toggle. We will create this now, and we're going to bind it to this, and we will pass ID and dispatch to it. So let's just make this toggle function. I'm going to go above this, and that's going to be toggle, again an arrow function, and this is receiving ID and dispatch, and in here we can call this dispatch now. And remember, we need to pass the action, which is an object, so the type is going to be toggle for this. Let me just double check quickly. Yep, toggle, that will be the type, and which will give it case, and payload is going to be ID, the past in here. Okay, so save it. So I hope this should work now. So when we do this, see, it is working. So it is calling this dispatch, and dispatch is then doing this star state, and reducer is returning this. Alright, so I hope this is making sense. Next I want to do is I don't know why I keep closing this. I want to do is, when I click this red button, I want to remove these to-dos. So to do this, I'm going to copy this case and paste it, and I'm actually, let me just put a space here, and case I'm gonna put is remove, and in here I'm gonna actually remove all of it. Instead of this, we're going to do to-dos, and we're going to grab brief state again, and then to-dos, and this time we're going to apply filter, and the condition we're going to do is to do is we're going to check if to-dos ID is not equal to action.payload. Okay, alright, so that would be the condition. So this will check if the ID is not, it would return and it will be rendered, but if the ID matches, it won't be rendered. Okay, so next we gotta go back to do again, and not to do, sorry, to do, and in here we're going to create another method. And before we create a method, actually apply this on this I tag. So on this I tag we're going to have on click, and we will call this dot remove, and we're going to bind, sorry, I was meant to bind it, and we will pass ID, and we will pass dispatch again. And this is, I'll actually copy this and change this to remove, and change this to remove, and that's it. Okay, and test it out. So if we click this will be gone, so it is working fine. Next I want to add new to-dos, so that's going to be slightly different. However, the case would be similar. So first we do context API, and I'm gonna go and copy one of this, oops, and the case would be add, and we're going to do is grab prev state, can't see prev state, and then actually we would grab the copy of whole prev state, okay, and then dot do's, and we will pass action dot payload, and this time it would be instead of ID it would be an object, okay. So we're done with this. We're gonna go to add to do's.js, and in here this is going to have its own state. So state is going to be, this will have, I'm gonna hard code for now, ID 4, and then title, only title is going to be an empty string, and then complete is going to be false for now. Next I'm gonna go on to this input, and here I'm gonna do on change, and this is going to be this dot, I will call it update actually, update, because this will update the state, okay. And here I'm going to create it update, and this will receive a event, and what we're going to do is this dot set state, and we're going to set it to, going to change the title. Oops. And title is going to be value of title is going to be e.target, e.value, right. So we also want to do is value of this input to this dot state dot value. Okay, so next we want to create another one. I will call this add. Actually, first we need to import consumer again. That's gonna be from one level up in context, and that's going to wrap around this form. Consumer, again it would have value which would return all of this form. Okay, and I'm gonna do a little bit of restructuring here again. That's going to, we're going to get the dispatch. That's meant to be value. So on this form we're going to do on submit, and this is going to be this dot add. We need to bind this, and then we will pass dispatch. Alright, so we'll do this, head, which would have dispatch and E as well. So first thing we want to do is e dot prevent prevent default, because this e dot target dot prevent is it. No, this target e dot prevent. Okay, prevent default. Why is it? Oh, because I'm missing. Alright, so because this is a form submission, so we want to prevent the default behavior, okay, by doing this. So next I want to call dispatch, and dispatch is actually we need to create a new to do first, and that would be this dot state. Alright, so whatever state holds, it would be set to new to do. Alright, so now here we're going to do type is going to be add, and then I forgot curly braces, and payload is going to be this new to do. Save it, and now try it. Another task, so it gets added. Okay, so if we just do this, delete it, we can do it. So as you can see, it is not going away. So what I want to do is, after dispatching it, I want to do the set state, this dot set state. I want to change the title back to an empty string. So if we do another task, why is it value? Oh, this should be this dot title, state dot title, not value. Sorry about that, guys. So now it should go more task. Alright, so it goes away. Alright, so that's it, guys. Our front end is complete, it is fully functional. And the one thing which I would like to tell you, if I add say more than one, I mean, so if I check mark, so it will affect both of them. If we delete this, it would delete this other one as well. So the reason is that because here in to do add to do, we are hard coding ID. Okay, there is, because for now I'm just hard coding, because we're gonna get different IDs from created by our database, so I'm not worrying about this for now. But you can definitely use something like, if you are just doing the React application front end, then you can use something like UUID to generate different IDs. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Our front end is complete. So now we're gonna go back to do our backend. Okay guys, so now we're going to start working on our server side. So to do this, I'm gonna open up my terminal in VS Code and then cd into server folder, which is at the moment completely empty. So let's create a file, server.js, and then I'm gonna also do npm init-y, and this will generate a package.json in this folder. And you can answer those questions if you like to, but I just did -y because I wanted to skip that. And next we're going to do npm install, because we're going to use express, so I'll install express, mongoose, and then nodemon and concurrent, is it, no sorry, it's concurrently. Okay, we're going to install those dependencies. Okay, so this has created installed our dependencies concurrently, express, mongoose, and nodemon. Next thing I like to do is I'm gonna copy this script tag start and change this to server, and change this node to nodemon, because with node when we run our server.js, every time with every change we would have to stop the server and then rerun it, whereas with nodemon it would do the job for us, so we wouldn't have to worry about stopping the server and then rerunning it. So this is why we are using this dependency. Okay, so save it and close it, and I'm gonna bring it up, and then I'm gonna go into this server.js. So first we're going to bring in express, which by the way, express is a server-side Node.js framework, if you don't know. I bet you all know, but I don't know why I'm explaining this. And then we going to require express, and next we're going to bring in mongoose as well. So mongoose, I'm going to do require mongoose, and then next I'm gonna create app, not too many p, and here we're going to do express and parentheses. And before I used to use body parser, but express has express.json to pass the data into JSON. Okay, so I'm using this now. Alright, next we're going to do app.listen, and we will be listening at port 5000 since our client side is running at 3000. So I'm gonna put a callback here as well and do the console log just to let us know if it is running okay. So server is running at port 5000. Why is it? I don't know why is this not making sense. Okay, so let's just, so as we did npm run as we did server script, so we're going to run server script. Okay, so let's check it out. So there we go, so it is now should be, so it is running on 5000 now. Okay, save it. Next, before I bring in mongoose and connect to our local DB, I'd like to run my local DB, so that's going to be mon-god, and this will run my local database, so which is now waiting for connection at on port 27017. Sorry guys. So that's now it is running. So what we can do is create const db, and this will hold my local URL, but as I said, you can use remote, so but I'm just using local. So that's gonna be MongoDB / local host, and that is going to be 27017, I believe. And then after this slash you need to name your database, so I will name it my full stack app, whatever, it doesn't really matter, you can name anything to your data. So that's our URL. So next we're going to do is mongoose.connect, and we're going to pass db, and over here I'm going to pass an object, use new URL parser, because if you don't do this with local MongoDB, it will give you a deprecation warning. Okay, you don't have to, but I'm just trying to avoid that deprecation warning in my console. So since this will be a promise based, we can do then once it is connected. So I'm gonna do is console log, and we'll say connected to MongoDB, and if there's an error, I want to catch that. Error, and we're going to console log the error. And save it, and now it should say connected to MongoDB, and the server is running at port 48000, which means our server is all set. Next I want to do is a get request. So here I'm going to do app.get, and I'm gonna do to-dos. So when we hit this, actually before doing the get request, let's put something into our database. So with MongoDB we have to use models and to which is like libraries, and to store into those libraries we should have a schema. So to have a model we need a schema. Okay, so let's do the schema first. So I'm gonna do const, and I will name it to do schema. That would be mongoose, sorry, new mongoose dot schema. And here all I want is title, and that would be a string, and the other one is complete, but complete we will set it to default, and we will give it a type boolean, and for default we're going to put false, because all of them would be false at the start. Okay, so that's our to do schema. Next, create our model, and I'll name it to do, and then we're going to do mongoose dot model, and here we're going to pass to do, and then this to do schema. Okay, so now we have schema and we have model as well. So now we do the get request. Okay, before it was too early, sorry. So I'm gonna do it at slash to dos, and once we hit this, we're gonna do a conrec and res, which would be an arrow function. So when we hit this, we want to grab to this to do, okay, and find anything whatever it has and then return it. So let's do that. And to do dot find, and then it would be a promise base again, so dot then, and just say to do res dot json, because it would return a JSON. Okay, so that's it. So our get request is done. So to test it, I have an extension, this REST client, so which means I can do here, I can create a, and you can name anything, but I'm naming it hit test and then HTTP, and here I'm going to do get request. So URL would be HTTP / localhost, that's I believe 5000, because we're running at 5000, and then to do's. Alright, so this would be our get request. Need to remove this. So if I send a request, so we are getting response 200, which is okay, and we are getting an empty array, so which is good. So this means our server is working fine, and our get request is working okay. The reason we are getting an empty array, because we don't have anything in this to do yet. So let's just do that next. So what we're gonna do is to app.post request now. And the URL would be the same, so slash to do's, request and request and response, and in here we need to create new to do, I would say, to do, which would be an instance of this to do model. Okay, so let's do that, and then we need to pass. So since we already have complete and set to default, so all we have to pass is this title. So do that. So I'm going to do title, and this we will get from rec dot body and then dot title, and this will be parsed already because we are using up here express.json. okay, so it will be passed to JSON. So save it. So once it has it creates it, next we need to save it into database. So do that. So we're gonna go new to do dot save, and this will be a promise base. Then you want to do response and set it to a JSON, and res dot JSON, and put the response or to do whatever, you can name anything, and save it. And now we're gonna go back to our test.html and then I would just copy this. We have to put 3 hashes before we make another one, so this will be a post request, but we have to define our header in this request, and that would be content type, and it's gonna be application slash JSON. And here we need to pass our JSON object. Okay, so that's gonna be a title. So since this is going to be a valid JSON, so we have to put everything in curly braces. So I'll just do my task number 01. Oops, just save it. Okay, so let's try this. Yep. Okay. Actually, let me just change this. It shouldn't be res. I'm gonna change this to because we have res here, so I think this is what it is causing the issue. Okay, and then resend it. There we go. So we have successfully added our new to do in here. So it has complete false, and as I said previously, the database will generate an ID for each item. So that's an ID from generated by database, and then title whatever we were putting here. So let's put a couple of more actually. So I'll do 2 and send another one, and then do another one, 3, and now if we do a get request, there we go, we have task number 1, 2, 3. So we've done accidentally twice this one, so we will remove this one later anyways. So which we're going to do next actually. So save it. Now we're going to do is delete request. So to do this, I'm going to copy this, come over here and change this to get to delete, and with this we have to pass an ID. So we would have to do /ID, then I'm going to change all of it and get rid of this actually. And we have a method in MongoDB find by ID and delete. Okay, so we're going to use this and all we have to do here is grab this ID. Okay, and we can do this rec.params and whatever the name here. Okay, so we have ID, so I'll do ID. Okay, and since this will be promise based again, so then what we want to do, we can do anything here. So I'll just do res.json, and I'll put a I'll say remove to true and save it, and let's go back this test file and do 3 hash and do this delete request. Now URL would be the same. I'm going to copy this, and as here we need to pass an ID. So I'll do a get request before I do delete request. So as we have 2 tasks 01, so we'd rather remove one of them. So I'm gonna grab the first one, I an ID of the first one, and then copy it and paste it and hope for the best, and we do this. So there we go, we have a response back with our JSON, and it is 200. Okay, which means we have successfully deleted that the first to do. Okay, and if we do the get request again, there we go, we have don't have number 1 again. Okay, it's just 1, 2 and 3. So that's it guys. So our backend is working. Next step is to connect to our client side, so let's do that. So for that I'm gonna let this server run at 5000. I'm going to add another terminal, and here we're going to cd into client. Okay, so before I start my client side, what I'm gonna do is go into this client folder and then in package.json excuse me, and here I'm gonna put a comma after this last one and do a proxy. By the way, this is very important step, so if you don't do this it won't probably work. So proxy and then http local host, and it is on 5000. So yeah, do this carefully. We have to do proxy and then this our backend localhost. Okay, so save it and then just close it. The other thing I want to do is npm install xuse. So I'll be using xuse to connect to our database. Okay, alright, so let's check. Yep, so we have xuse in our dependencies now. Close it. Now we're going to npm start and run our client side. Sorry guys, bit of hiccups. Okay, so that's our, we are back to our client side now. So I'm going to close this. Alright, so now instead of these hard-coded to-dos which are in our context API, actually I'm gonna go and get rid of all of them and just have an empty to-do array. Save it, and now I'm gonna go up here and bring in xuse. Import xuse from xuse, and we're gonna do our get request. So just probably above this render. So we're going to use component did mount, and here we're going to do xuse get request. Okay, so to get all to-dos from database. So since we already set our proxy, we don't have to do localhost http localhost and full. Instead all we have to do is /todos. Alright, so if you remember, let me just go back to, so this is our get request. Okay, so all we have to get this to do is right. So as this is going to be promise based again, so what we're going to get is response, and we're going to do is this dot set state, and then in state we're going to set our to-dos, which is this array here, and we're going to set those arrays to res start whatever we are getting back data, and save it. Let's see if this works. There we go. Alright, so these are coming from our database. So instead of those hard-coded, now we are getting those from database. So Next I want to do delete one. No, actually do the post request before we do the delete request. Okay, so I'm gonna go into my add todos.js now and bring in Axios here as well. So import Axios from Axios. Okay, and next we're going to do in this add, so after probably this we're going to Axios dot post. So we're going to hit slash todos, and here instead of passing this new to do in this dispatch, we would pass here, and then we update this we will run this dispatch later in Axios when the response comes back. Okay, so let's do that. New to do here, and once we're gonna do is dot then, and now here we're going to run this dispatch. Okay, I'm gonna grab this, paste it here, and actually not all of it, just this dispatch, sorry guys. So here instead of new to do, we're going to do res dot data, which will be again the same whatever we are passing it here. So save it, let's test it out. So task number 4, and there we go, it gets added. So next, since all of the IDs now are if you remember, they are dash ID or underscore ID rather, so let's just change those to so we're gonna go into to do. Here we are passing ID. Instead of this, we're going to grab underscore ID, and that's underscore ID, and here underscore ID, and I should have selected all of them together, but oops, well done. Mr. ID, we won't have to worry about that. That should work because 1, 2, yep, save it. And now if we just test it, why is it we have to change it here too. So wherever we are passing ID, so checking ID and then ID, and this should work now, hopefully. So now, yep, there we go. So that's fine. So let's do the delete request now. So to do this, I'm gonna get rid of these two. I'm gonna do this delete request in this remove function. So let's just do Axios dot delete. Why is it? It should be a small a. Okay, so Axios dot delete. So that would be the same. Actually, here I'm going to use backticks. It would be slash todos and then slash, and here I'm going to use template lettering and pass an ID. And once we get it, then we're gonna do is dot then. I'll actually do it on the next line. And here we're going to run this dispatch. Let's just save it and test it. So if I delete this one and refresh, it won't come back as it's deleted from database. So there we go. So more task, another task. So there we go, guys. So our application is working fine. It is all done. I know, pretty long video, so but it kind of takes that long actually, especially a person like me who is still new to coding. And yeah, thank you so much for watching it, and I highly appreciate it. And one thing actually I forgot, since we are running these two on separate terminals, what I want to do is run them on same server, same terminal. So instead of running client and server side separately, we do at one command. Okay, so let's just do that quickly. I'm going to stop this, and I'm gonna go to this and stop this as well for now. And I'm gonna close it, and I'm going to go into this server and then package.json, and here I'm going to create a new script. I'll copy this, that's it, and I will call this client. Okay, and what we want to do in this script is basically, since we are in this server folder, okay, what we want to do is cd one level up, and then and actually space, and then we're going to cd into our client folder. Okay, client, and then what we're gonna do is npm start. So if we run this script from here, then this will go one level up, and then cd into this client, and then run npm start, which will start our client side. Okay, and next I'm going to do another one, which is app. You can name anything, by the way. And in here, since we have concurrently, this is why I installed it in earlier on. So concurrently, and you can just do a space, and then is it, and then npm run, and we want to run server first, which is our servers, this script, and then we want to escape and do npm run client, which we just created. Okay, this one, client, why is it, okay, concurrent, that was missing the comma. Yep, this should work now. So let's try this. So if I do now npm run app, hopefully this works. I think I did not save it, so rerun it. So I just bring it up so you guys can see what is happening. So it is running our server side before, and then connected to MongoDB, before running the client. So now it is running the client as well. So there we go. So it is successfully. So you have to do this really careful. Okay, just type pretty much exactly the same and do this script tag, client tag as well. So that's it, guys. So it is all well and working fine. So I hope you like the project. So please like the video if you do, and please subscribe to my channel. And I really want to create more videos and more in-depth and basic courses especially, but I'm waiting for more subscriber, honestly, guys. So I would highly appreciate your support if you could do that, because I'm still very new to YouTube, by the way. And again, as I said, I'm a new to coding. So if there is anything which you think I could do better, please leave comments so I can learn from you guys as well. So yeah, thank you so much, and I see you next time.